The Chiefs B team showed up with their D game, and they got out of it alive. How in the stars did that happen, Matt Derrick? We're coming up live here on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. Thanks for joining us live post-game. The Chiefs have just defeated the Carolina Panthers. We're brought to you by FanDuel. You get a huge return right now. You new customers are getting, for a $5 bet, $150 bet in bonus bets the first time you win that $5 bet. Check it out at FanDuel.com. We're going to run it all down for you as we are joined from Chiefs Digest, Matt Derrick above here. No, above here. Shoot, did it wrong again. There's Matt Derrick. There is Chris Clark of KC Chiefs Corner. I'm Ryan Tracy over at RGR Football and NFL33.com. Thanks for making us your first listen. Check out another Locked On show when you're done with this. Let's celebrate a win as we talk about what it means going forward. Make sure that you like, sub, hit the bell here. Get on Spotify, get on the audio, get on the text line. You everydayers, we appreciate you. And they're all over there at 816-357-8781. We will get to standouts and begrudging game balls on my part. We'll see what everybody else thinks. That'll be later in the show. The lessons learned here, where this team is at right now, as well as a couple of new implications from this ball game. But bottom line, where we start is a win's a win's a win. They are 10-1 at this point. Moving forward, Matt, maybe not the way that we saw it happen, but I think we all had them winning this ball game. What's your big takeaway of the day?
Boy, I mean, you liked a lot of what you saw from the offense in the first half. That was didn't punt for quite a while, so there was some efficiency there. I can't give an A to the offense by any stretch of the imagination because they had a couple of stinker drives in the second half that are going to be something to focus on. And remember, it's a short week, so there's not going to be a whole lot of time for this coaching staff to tear this team down and build them back up again. But I mean, that's really about the best I can say. I mean, the defense was really inconsistent all day long, gave up way too many points to a really, really not very good offense. So other than Mahomes being Mahomes at moments and a couple, I mean, I'll just give you a heads up right now. When we get the game balls, there's only 3 guys eligible for game balls. And if either one of you take anybody else, I will criticize you. So.
I'm ready for it. Let's go. We did not talk about game balls before the show like we usually do, folks. This is going to be a little bit raw, but Chris, for you, big takeaway.
Offense was efficient in the first half. Sure seemed like Andy Reid took a foot off the gas pedal in the second, and I think that just seems to be the reality of what he is as a coach, unfortunately. I do think it's great that they found a way to win. But you cannot take your foot off the gas. You can't let a team like this hang around, and that's exactly what they did. There were some missed penalties that I think really could have changed maybe how this game ends, but it is what it is. Chiefs beat themselves in a lot of ways. 10 penalties that they had a call on them. They allowed 5 sacks against a team that really shouldn't have gotten 5 sacks. It's bad all around in a lot of different ways.
I mean, come on, let's be real. They thought this was a bye week, right? The whole damn team thought this was a bye week. The defense looks tired. We're going to talk about that coming up. The offense got off to a good start and completely let up. Matt, for me, the bottom line comes back to preparation to show that you are still the champ, and versus what I think is going on now is just let's go get a win however we have to do it. If it's close, we don't care. Is that the mentality that you see in this ball team right now?
I mean, is this a lot different than the Chiefs that we saw at this time last year in 2023? I mean, no. I mean, I don't think so. You know, this team, after a while, after playing 20 and 21 game seasons, you know, I mean, you have these. I mean, and this team, like no other. I mean, last year they kind of learned that they don't have to hit the accelerator in December like they used to. I mean, last year at this time, they didn't have a lot of gas left. I mean, this team was kind of on coasting and on cruise control, and they learned they can do it. So, you know, I mean, that's, I think, a small part of it. You're right. Defense looked tired today. Why exactly they look so tired? I'm not sure. I mean, even with, you know, the Buffalo game last week, should be enough of a rhythm that they got their rest. And, and I didn't honestly think that the Buffalo game was that punishing as the two previous games when you had a short week after Tampa Bay. And then I thought you played a really physical game against Denver. I mean, I didn't think that the Buffalo game was as physical as the Denver game was. So, why they came out maybe a little bit off this week, I'm not sure. The offense, when Mahomes was throwing in rhythm in the first half, this offense was brutally efficient. In the second half, you started to see, I think it was even at the end of the first half, you started to see a little bit of, Mahomes is no longer taking the ball, taking his drop and getting rid of it. He's taking the ball, he's taking his drop, and then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go through all my progressions, and I don't care if one of them's open. I'm going to look for somebody who's more open or somebody who's further downfield. And I know there was one play in the second half. I can't wait to see it, get it on all 22 and circle it. He pretty much bypassed 3 open wide receivers looking for somebody who was downfield and finally checked down to one of the guys who was open. But again, that's why they were so good in the first half, is that there was no thinking to it. It was step, drop, throw. And that was the plan going into this game. Why they got away from it, I don't know if it was just, a little confidence, but when Mahomes wasn't worrying about the blocking in front of him, he was just stepping back and throwing and getting rid of the football. Things were going really well. And then there starts to be a lot of thinking going on, and things didn't go as well. And then when you start doing that, the offensive line started breaking down, and that's what really led to those 2 crazy drives that were just terrible in the second half, and really let Carolina back into this one when they shouldn't have. This is a better team than this. But original point that I tried to start the sentence with and started to wander. This team knows that it can get away with this, and that they're going to win some, they're going to lose some, but come January, that's when you flip the switch.
Big thing to me, though, you look at how this game played out and how this offense looked early on. As you said, Matt, they looked efficient. They looked good. Mahomes was hitting in the back of his drop and was getting the ball out. That's exactly what you need him to do on a regular basis. And then it all changed going into the end of the first half, into the second half. And the problem that you got into is in the second half, you were up 2 scores. And then you get in a situation where you get a second down, they get a penalty, it moves them back, they get like a 2nd and 20, and then they can commit another penalty, and it gets, where they get to be 3rd and 30, and then 4th and 34, I think is what they ended up punting at. They were in field goal position before all those penalties. They could have kept it a 2-score game, except for they continued to get penalties that kept moving them back and kept causing issues. The holds, the illegal hands to the face, all of it. And it didn't just happen on offense. You also had, and I know it was only 5 yards, but you also had a bonehead play by Josh Williams going out of bounds on a punt at the exact time. You cannot have that type of play when the game is on the line and gives him a free 5 yards because he just runs out of bounds and doesn't try to get back in. Like, you cannot do those on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I'm surprised even looking at it that, good grief, and this is even up to date. This can't be. I mean, the playlist I'm looking at says that the Chiefs had 7 penalties for 57 yards. That can't be right. It feels a lot more than that. 10 for 91. There we go. I don't know why that wasn't updating, but and that doesn't even tell you the true nature of it, because they had a couple of penalties that were 1-yard penalties. So, yeah, I mean, that's just. You can't. That is not Chiefs like. And I mean, they got fortunate that Carolina had 9 for 53. That torpedoed them a couple of times too. It helped out the Chiefs a couple of times. But no, you don't give up 91 yards in penalties. And some of them were really, really dumb penalties. Mike Pennell got a really dumb penalty. Josh Williams. Those were a couple of stupid ones. And and Shamari Connor, I mean, once again, if he just gets his head turned around, you saw it on the next drive. I mean, Xavier Worthy got covered in the exact same situation, except the corner got his head turned around and the officials didn't call it. Had Shamari Connor got his head turned around in the end zone, that play doesn't get called that way. So, there's certainly some rookie and even second-year mistakes that have still got young guy mistakes that have got to get cleaned up. But these are mistakes this defense wasn't making earlier. Now that they are they sloppy, tired mistakes? Maybe. But that doesn't give me any encouragement when this team plays in 5 days against the Raiders.
That's the whole point. What do you take away from this? What are the lessons that this Tire defense has to show us, as well as the offense? That's coming up next. Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, and that's right, free online courses right now, including Introduction to Free Market Economics. You can check out some history with the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, and even check out The Great American Story, A Land of Hope. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced, so you can start whenever you want, you can tune in whenever you want, and you can finish whenever you want. You can go deeper with readings and quizzes and discussions, or just sit back and enjoy the lectures. Go over to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. It's at hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. PrizePicks has daily fantasy sports and makes it accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your money. Run your game all season long at PrizePicks. They make it simple, and they even invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So sign up today and you can get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. You don't even have to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the Gametime app and use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play a $5 lineup. Super simple. Download that app, use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and get that $50 bonus for playing a $5 lineup. Super easy over at PrizePicks. Now, as we covered, defense has been a resurgence last year, so far this season. Last 2 games have been a little bit rougher. To my eye, Matt, this team looks tired on the defensive side of the ball, particularly in the defensive front. I won't say it's just the D linemen. Linebackers had a couple of slow takes as well. I think maybe 2-3 weeks ago, that last touchdown getting into the end zone on the sweep to the right side, I think Leo makes that tackle. And that play does not score. Maybe they let him in the next one. But I don't know if it's cumulative. Is this about the bye week? There's several theories going around. But do you see the same thing just in terms of overall fatigue across the whole defensive front?
I mean, it could be fatigue across the entire defensive front, but there's been one consistent all season long, and that has been that the defensive front hasn't been getting the pressure and the production that it usually gets. And that leads to breakdowns on the back end. When you're not getting the quarterback down, when you're not getting enough pressure, and the quarterback lives get the ball down the field, going to make some plays. I mean, right now, Chiefs, remember, had 55 sacks each of the last 2 seasons. I'm trying to look at see what, how many sacks they ended up getting today. I know they had a couple,
1.
so they're up to 20 now this season.
And Chris Jones hasn't had one in 7 games.
That's 30 throws that teams are getting. That's 2 plays a game that quarterbacks are making now that they weren't making a year ago. And those are big plays. That's just a matter of it. I mean, when you're not getting the quarterback down, it's harder on your defensive secondary. And, I get asked a lot, well, what's the problem with the secondary? Well, there's not enough pressure up front. That's the biggest thing that's affecting the secondary. I mean, they got one piece that you've changed out. It's not like Trent McDuffie and Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Jamari Conner, all these guys are taking a step backwards. I don't think that's the case. But they continue to struggle getting pressure up front with just 4, which means that they've had to blitz more. And today, even when they blitzed Bryce Young, it did not work. Carolina was ready for it. They had prepared. And when Bryce Young is lighting you up on the blitz, that's a concern. So, I'm not entirely sure that it's all completely, fatigue. I think a little bit of it just starts up front and why these guys aren't getting the pressure. And if it's just, missing a Charles Omenihu, if it's just, the Chiefs were worried about their depth up front going into the season, much more than they were ever worried about, I think, cornerback. And, it's something that they haven't been able to address. So, they're crossing their fingers that when Charles Omenihu comes back, that it's going to pick things up a little bit, and maybe they'll be better in January than they are now. But that test to me is where a lot of it all starts.
It's crazy to me. Chris Jones doesn't have a sack in 7 games. 7 straight games. And I understand he can't do it himself, and he is getting pressure. He's affecting the quarterback. He's affecting the offense. I get all that. George Karlaftis has taken a big step back this season from what I've seen. He may still be getting pressures, but he's not getting home. He's not getting sacks. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when you don't get pressure and you're not sacking the quarterback, they're going to light you up. And each time the Chiefs blitzed Young, he lit him up today. And that's a problem. I mean, he made great throws, and give credit where credit is due. They definitely deserve credit on that. But it was a bad look for Kansas City's defense when they were blitzing Bryce Young. They couldn't get home. They couldn't affect it. And it is what it is at this point. They're going to have to try to figure it out going forward. The nice thing, the only reason that they were able to win this game is they were playing a bad team. The penalties, if they have those types of penalties against a better team, and I'm talking like the Chargers in 2 weeks, they're going to lose that game because they weren't playing good enough to win.
Fair enough. I think when you look at the offensive side, I see a shift happening. And I can't tell you the last time that the top two yardage receivers were both tight ends. Clearly, back-to-back weeks for Noah Gray with a couple of touchdowns apiece. I think he's still, for the most part, I don't think it's a glorious shift on the offensive game planning. I think he's still making his money off of the attention placed on Travis Kelce, but now it's starting to pay off. And this is the 1-2 punch that I think we've been waiting for, Matt. Can this sustain them through some of these other struggles, given that the tight ends are a little bit closer into the line of scrimmage, a little bit less far away in terms of the length of throws, and maybe keeping with that pacing you were talking about in the first segment with getting the ball out on time? Is that a function of this, or are the Titans just reaping the benefits of the defense?
I mean, it's probably just a little bit of both, but you know, I think it's very telling that we're talking about Mahomes getting rid of the ball on time in the first half, and that's when Noah Gray had all of his production. He was 4 for 66, 2 touchdowns in the first half, nothing in the second half, not even a target in the second half, and that's byproduct of what we were talking about with Mahomes when he starts overlooking his first and second progressions and deciding let's push it downfield. There's not always time, and you know, and that's the crazy thing is that Mahomes is it's boring football, but Mahomes is capable of it. We know it. We know that Mahomes, when he just plays within himself, sometimes can be absolutely deadly. And I would think that, hey, going 7 of 7 early in the game and just dicing up Carolina the way he was would have been pretty fun. And I'm not saying that's why he got away from things, but you know, yeah, you know, when he gets into the mode where maybe he is trying to push it downfield and he's looking for the deeper shots, or he's looking for Kelce a bit more, he might be just bypassing open opportunities. And he didn't do that in the first half. First half, Noah Gray was open. Noah Gray was getting the football. I think there were probably a couple of times in the second half Noah Gray was open and he wasn't getting the football. And that's, you know, where this offense can get a little stagnant when it, you know, and I used to talk about this years ago. I'm going to bring back the analogy. Sometimes you just got to eat your vegetables. And Mahomes wants the steak every single time. And I get it. I want the steak too. But gosh darn it, when Mahomes eats his vegetables, this team can absolutely be deadly. And when he usually does that, he does it in the playoffs. I mean, that's when he doesn't really care how they win. He's just going to take whatever is given to him. And that's when the Chiefs turn the lights on. And I get it, Chiefs fans, you don't want to wait until January to see the lights come on. But if you're 10-1 with your team playing the way it is, and you're expecting to get a couple of guys back from injury, they're only going to make you better, and you know that this team has a switch that's going to flip, I don't get working up over anything because you've seen this show before.
Well, we talked about a minute, Hugh. It sounds like Pacheco probably should be back maybe for even the Raiders game. So that's going to be a positive going that direction. Hollywood Brown, it sounds like people are saying they could be back by Christmas. You're talking about 3 huge pieces on, 2 on offense, 1 on defense. That could really change the look of this team and change what Mahomes is able to do with everything else. And then you got a guy in DJ Humphries, who we haven't had a chance to talk about because it happened on Friday evening, that is going to change maybe at the left tackle position. So I think that they're going to be moving in the right direction. I agree with you, Matt. They have to be consistent. Mahomes has to take what the defense is giving him, and he needs to get the ball out looking at your first and second read, because when he is doing that, he's extremely efficient. Yes, it's not pushing the ball downfield. Yes, it's not giving you the big plays that maybe you want, but it is moving the ball, and it's continuously getting moving the sticks, which is important. Xavier Worthy had a good day today, 4 catches for 46 yards. He moved the ball around, got it to a bunch of different people. That's exactly what you need to see from him as an offensive leader. And I think, DeAndre Hopkins just shows if you throw him the ball and you get anywhere near him, he's going to come down with the ball.
Yeah, and I thought even on that last drive when they're trying to get in the field goal range, it was another good example of Mahomes getting rid of the football. I mean, certainly the run was the one that set it up, but that quick out to Xavier Worthy. I mean, I want to see that more and more. I mean, that to me is like Tyreek on that same play. It was deadly. I mean, it worked for first down just about every single time. Once again, if you're Patrick Mahomes and you just get the ball out on time, good things are usually going to happen. It's when you wait that it becomes much more of a 50-50. It's either going to be a big positive play or a big negative play.
Got to take the easy when it's there. Who else stood out and who deserves a game ball? That's coming up next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers, you can bet just $5 and you get 150 back in bonus bets if you win right now. FanDuel Sportsbook, the app, gives you everything that you need to get bets in place for the NFL all in one place. So when you got a hunch in the middle of the game, you want to check out the latest stats, you live by that play-by-play, you can do that and much more in the same page right where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com today and join. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 and official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now make sure that you check out ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform. Check out KC Chiefs Corner for all Chris's work. NFL 33 and RGR football for mine. You'll see me a little bit later tonight. It all comes down to this. As much as this team is underperforming, and this show has been about the fact that they're underperforming, Matt, there are a couple of guys that stood out and do deserve some recognition. Who's at the top of your list?
Okay, like I said, I already put the pressure on you guys earlier. So, and I'm gonna give you one warning. Nobody in this defense played well enough to get a game ball today. So, I mean, there were barely 3 other guys that played well enough to get a game ball. So, I'm on a harsh curve today. But since you give me the easy pick, I'll take the easy pickings. Mahomes had a great day. I mean, the first half was spectacular. The last drive was classic Mahomes. Chiefs don't win this game without that 37-yard romp down the sideline. I mean, and that's just Mahomes putting the ball in his hand and taking care of business. It's what he does. Clean game, no turnovers, 3 touchdowns, 269 yards. Hey, love to see him getting back to those days of 300 again. And once again, if he'd eaten his vegetables in the third quarter, he probably would have. But your quarterback won the game today.
Ryan, who you got?
Matt's game ball goes to Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to shout out a couple of guys first real quick, just because I felt like it didn't show up on the stat sheet at times. I thought Juju Smith-Schuster made a couple of nice plays, helped Kareem on that last little swing pass to get a couple extra yards. I felt like his blocking was there today, and that did help some. I felt like too many screens were run in situations that were just too plain to see, but kudos to the blockers that got out front and tried to help their guys. I do think that in the end, there are a lot of struggling players right now on both sides of the ball, but for me, the guy that kept things churning when you needed to, I'm not gonna argue with Mahomes. He deserves some credit. He missed a number of plays, as you mentioned, Matt. But the guy who took what was there and made the most of it, and I didn't feel missed anything today, was Kareem Hunt. Once again, the guy's been off the couch for 7 weeks now, and he's still a contributor week after week after week. They did lighten his load to 16 carries, so I thought that was a good thing. Steele had a couple and to be the team that outrushed the Carolina Panthers, knowing that was their only true path to victory, kudos to Kareem Hunt for getting it done.
I'm going to give you a little bit of a pass on that one. He technically wasn't one of my 3. He was the 4th on the list, though. So I'm gonna give you a pass on that one.
Thank you.
he had 87 yards in the day, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. So,
you talk about Mahomes and you talk about that run. The one thing that really stands out to me is he played another clean game. He didn't turn the ball over. Yes, he fumbled the ball out of bounds. Don't really care about that. But that is important. You have to keep control of the ball, and they did that. That's how, when we talked about this game, if you don't turn the ball over, you have a good chance to win this game. It didn't obviously happen because of penalties. They shot themselves in the foot. They got in the red zone multiple times and then ended up getting 2 penalties to get them out of the red zone, had to have a field goal. You have to do better in the red zone, and I think that they will do that. They'll get that figured out going forward. When I look at it game ball wise, I think the only other one that I really think probably deserves a game ball is Noah Gray. 2 touchdowns on the day, 4 receptions. Obviously, Travis Kelce. And the thing I love about Noah Gray is you watch him catch a touchdown, and just the person that's more excited about him catching a touchdown is Travis Kelce. It's not even Noah Gray. Noah's just like, oh, I caught a touchdown. Travis Kelce is fired up when Noah Gray catches a touchdown, and it's great to see because you can tell how much Travis really cares that Noah's doing well. In Matt or Ryan, you made a great point. When you look at the running game, Chuba Hubbard got 58 yards, Bryce Young 20 yards, and Brooks only 7. They kept them under 100 yards on the day. Kareem Hunt was under 100 yards on the day, combined from scrimmage, about 12 to 15 yards under 100 yards between receiving yards and rushing yards. But he was efficient as well. 3 touchdowns from Mahomes, 270 yards, plus 60 on the ground. I mean, that's exactly what you're going to want from him. And if he's doing what you want him to do, which is taking the first or second read and getting the ball out quick, he's extremely efficient, and they're moving the ball and they're doing well. But when you get into the penalties and you get into those situations, like they did multiple times today and have back-to-back penalties, you're hurting yourself. Like, they had a chance to be up 2 scores and maybe an extra touchdown in there somewhere and pissed it away because they couldn't get out of their own way with penalties.
I applaud you both for succumbing to the peer pressure and accurately identifying game ball recipients today.
Who was your third?
The other one, obviously, Spencer Schrader. I mean, specialists are people too.
Kickers don't get game balls.
Guys never kicked a game-winning kick in his career and goes in there. Oh, no, I mean, come on. You got specialists are people too.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you're not.
Don't listen to Ryan. Ryan doesn't count on this one. Don't listen to Ryan.
Trust me, one day I'm going to figure out how to give a game ball to James Winchester. So
that I'll back you on. You have my approval and my attention, folks. That's where we see it. How do you see it? Who gets your game balls, and where do they go next? We'd love your comments down below here. Go over to Chiefs Digest and leave them there as well, and on his YouTube page. You can find us at KC Chiefs Corner at ChiefsDigest.com. Over there at NFL 33 and RGR Football. Matt, thanks for setting me straight and putting the rules in place so that I could break them.
There you go. Hey, even wins, you got to have fun, and so hopefully everybody's having fun. And your team's 10-1, everybody.
It's all good. Thank you guys for being here. We very much appreciate having your attention. Make sure that you like, sub, hit the bell, and get with us every single day. Matt will be back midweek. We'll break it down further tomorrow, and then you will have special shows this week with the holiday. Thank you for being with us. We'll catch you next time.